So before I get started, first thing I want to mention is, yes, I know my audio still sucks. I'm sorry I haven't fixed that yet. I am in process of deciding what mic I want to use. I went ahead and started a little thing down there. What is it called? Getting a cup of coffee or something? I don't know. There's a link down there if you want to help with the mic fund. That would be great. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that because I'm getting a little close here to hitting the 300 mark, my goal for hitting the 300 mark would be March 15th. So if that can happen by then, that would be so cool. If it could happen before the end of February, that would be even cooler. But I'm not going to get my hopes up too high, but a little high. They're a little high. If I do hit the 300 mark by March 15th, then I'll do a tattoo tour, because I do have a lot of tattoos. So if that interests you, then get other people to subscribe. Hey y'all, it's Becky here from the Beckysphere, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Becky, and every Tuesday and Thursday we talk about the climate here. The problems, yes, but the solutions, yes. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, go ahead and click that subscribe button below. Hit the like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And today we are going to talk about onshore wind. So if you were with me last Tuesday, I broke down the offshore wind pros and cons. There's a lot of pros and not too many cons, but there's some. And before that I did solar, so it only seemed fitting that today I would talk about onshore wind. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So China currently leads the world in onshore wind, with the US being second place, but pretty far behind. China has been moving a lot on their onshore wind production. In fact, they have completely demolished their previous record for the amount of capacity brought onto the grid in 1 year. The US, we're doing okay. I mean, we could do a lot better because there is a lot of potential for us utilizing wind energy. And it just makes economic sense. The cost of onshore wind has, similarly to other forms of renewable energy, fallen 70% just over like this last decade. And now wind energy costs about 1 to 2 cents per kilowatt hour after taking into account the production tax credit, which is the most common form of government subsidy for energy. So it is getting subsidies, but the energy industry, the wind energy industry, is booming on its own very well. Besides just the cheapness of wind energy, another big factor why a lot of companies are starting to switch to that form of energy is because of the fixed price. So wind can guarantee at least 20 years of a fixed price, which is pretty amazing considering other forms of energy definitely cannot promise that. And overall, wind energy just makes economic sense. It invests about $10 billion into the US economy right now, and it has already produced 120,000 jobs. And this is only considering that wind energy is currently 7.4% of overall US energy generation. It is estimated that wind energy overall will represent 600,000 jobs in the US by 2050. Like solar, wind does rely a bit on energy storage technology for it to be consistent for homeowners, because obviously the wind does stop blowing over the land, unlike offshore wind, where it really doesn't seem to stop blowing hardly at all. The state to benefit the most from utilizing wind energy is Texas, and they have actually started producing the most amount of energy through this form of energy generation compared to every other state in the US. Texas has the potential to produce 1.3 million megawatts of wind energy, and right now they are only utilizing 30,000 megawatts, so they have a lot of room to grow. Other states that definitely have potential for utilizing wind energy include New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Montana. And as you can see from this map, they are definitely not utilizing it yet. And speaking of Texas, they actually already have 26 projects in the works for adding more wind to their portfolio, so that's really cool to see. Other projects are occurring in New Mexico and Wyoming, and New York and Massachusetts. So there are a bunch of projects that are currently in the works for wind energy specifically. And I will leave a link below that talks a little more about each of those projects, but they're set to start up in 2021. There are a few critiques to this form of energy, one of which is the noise level, and that kind of also goes with the aesthetics. Now, I've already ranted a bit about what I think about when people complain about the aesthetics of wind energy in my offshore wind article video, so you can check out that rant before, but bottom line, I don't understand. And in the way of noise that it makes, because that's another complaint for people that don't want it around them. I've watched a bunch of videos on it, and obviously that totally makes me the expert. But it seems that even if you are close to a wind turbine, it still won't make as much noise as if you were close to a busy street. So that's another criticism. One that is very common is that they are bird killing machines. And that was also mentioned in the offshore wind one, and I do want to say that the guy that creates the channel Backyard Expeditions, he actually messaged or commented on the offshore wind video saying that a lot of flying behavior over the ocean for birds is very low to the surface of the ocean, and so it's unlikely in his perspective that offshore wind would impact the migration of birds over the ocean. So that's a cool fun factoid. But there has been studies that have shown that onshore it is a concern that birds and bats are both killed by wind turbines. However, I will say another thing that kills them is habitat change due to climate change, as well as oil spills and other fossil fuel pollution. So, and also outdoor cats. Rube is indoor. So there's many things that kill birds and bats, unfortunately, and currently wind turbines is less than 1% of human-caused morbidity of those flying critters. And obviously that will grow in percentage as we increase the amount of turbines that they have to deal with. But yeah, that's what I will say on that. It's a concern, but it's not a stopper. Another concern is land use, and that's also fair, especially since wind turbines, they need enough space in between each other not to impact each other, and so there can't really be a lot of buildings built in areas of wind turbines. However, that is why a lot of wind turbines are being built around agricultural and grazing fields, so those can still be a good land use in addition to also being a wind farm. Okay, so I just realized that I didn't include in my script any newsy stuff, so I wanted to do that. And one of the first things that came up was conservatives are accusing wind turbines and killing people during the Texas blackouts. Okay. The Wall Street Journal has already debunked that, as well as the Texas Tribune.
You know, it's interesting because some have actually used the energy crisis in the last couple of days in Texas to point out that Texas's turn toward renewable energy, namely wind power, is more the issue. Why do you say natural gas is the problem?
Well, I think, let me just say, it's a complex set of factors, but what we know right now is that the wind power plants are mostly meeting their expected performance levels. But what is not happening in Texas is that many of the thermal power plants, the plants that boil water to make electricity, like natural gas-fired power plants, coal-fired power plants, and at least one nuclear unit, are not producing energy. They're suffering outages, and that dwarfs the amount of wind resource that's not performing right now. So it really is a traditional power plant problem, not a clean energy problem.
So I think one of the reasons why why a bunch of conservative people are taking the opportunity to blame wind turbines for power outages is because something similar sort of occurred in California, sort of did, sort of didn't. What actually occurred in California that is commonly blamed on wind energy was actually that the grid is not necessarily set up to move from one form of energy production to another. So when it's moving from wind energy to natural gas, there can be some hiccups in between. And that's usually what ends up causing the power outages that are then blamed on wind energy. So that's just another argument that actually the grid needs to be adjusted and a smart grid needs to be put in place, which we already know that the infrastructure in the United States really needs some work anyways, so it's good timing. I hope you found this interesting. Please let me know in the comments below anything that I missed, as well as what you think about wind energy and its potential. And I will continue to follow along with what happens in the future regarding overall solution trends. So on Thursday, we are going to be doing the Climate Book Club at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live stream on both Twitch and YouTube. Last time it didn't work on Twitch, so I'm hoping it will work again this time. But yes, I made a Twitch. You can go ahead and follow me. It's at Beccasphere. But yeah, we will be discussing the first section of the book, All We Can Save. So if you haven't gotten your copy yet, please do. It's going to be a fun read. There's a lot of fun essays and poems. Well, fun. There's a lot of well done essays and poems from prominent women in the climate movement. And I'm going to have a poll out tomorrow, both on my Instagram story and also here on YouTube in the discussion section, to decide what piece in the roots section of All We Can Save we are going to focus on for our discussion on Thursday. So if you have a chance to read those sections and you have one that's your favorite, please vote for that section so I know which one we should focus on. And without further ado, remember to talk about the climate every single day. Support your local news organizations. Stay warm, stay safe, and I will see you all on Thursday. Bye.